Rivka. She couldn't get pregnant. One of the explanations why she didn't get pregnant is because all the barren women in the generation got pregnant. So Hashem says, listen, I'm going to give her a child. She's going to stop praying. Rivka was praying to get children. Only when Yitzchak intervened, it's all that Yitzchak prayed on her behalf, not for himself. He knew he was going to have kids. He was just afraid that maybe she's going to end up being barren and he's going to have kids with some other wife, like Abraham had to go to Agar. The second that he prayed on her behalf, then they got the kids. But then, of course, during the pregnancy, then Rivka has a terrible time. The boys, the two twins, struggled within her. They vaitrotzetzu means in Hebrew that they litrotzets is to run backwards and forth. The Zohar explains that it comes from the word lirotzets, to smash, like it says when you see a snake, you have to smash the head, lirotzets et rosho. So the Zohar says, litrotzetzu, one tried to smash the other. Here it says struggle. Really what happens, there was already a fight within the womb. The two babies are fighting with each other in the room. Rivka didn't know what's going on, so she took a trip to Tzfat. She came to Shem and went to Lidrosh. She went to the tzaddik, to the Navi, to the prophet. She went to ask Shem, what's going on? Right across the street. And Shem tells her, two nations are going to come out of your womb. It's not saying nations. It says Shnei Goyim. Goy, I know a lot of people don't like the word Goy. Goy is not a derogatory word. Goy means a body, by the way. Also, we are called a Goy. We are separated Goy. Goy Kadosh is one kingdom will become mightier than the other kingdom. This is the ultimate fight between Esau and Israel. What problems we have up until today coming from Esau? All the troublemakers to our nations came out from Esau. Our major enemy is Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Esau. The offspring, the seed of Esau. How they went from one place to another and how they ended up in Germany, in Germania. So the Germans also, the Aryan race, it's all coming off from Esau. You have a problem with Esau? Then you have to increase in Torah. Haman wanted to destroy us. What do you think? The Mordechai gathered the elite commando unit to fight them? They had a whole year to prepare. It wasn't like from here till tomorrow. Mordechai gathered all the kids, put them in one room, started learning Torah. That's our power, not with our hands and spears or swords. The power is in the Torah. That's what you see now in our generation. Who are they going after first? The kids who are learning in yeshivot, let's somehow eliminate them. Because then we don't have kids learning in yeshivot. Where's our power? The power is the Kol Yaakov. The voice is the voice of Yaakov. The voice of Yaakov is being heard in the world by learning Torah. Then the hands of Esau have zero power. And I know a few people are going to start arguing, yeah, but what happened and this and then and that. And when you let go from Torah, אז שולט Esau. Then Esau has the power. וזהו המלאה החרבה. That's why our sages explain, this can be found also in the tractate Megillah, page 6. It explains in depth, but it says, ולאום אלאום יאמץ, שמפחד של עשיו ישראל יתאמצו בתורה. Why is that a good thing? Why more Torah is because of Esau? Because of the fear of Esau, we're going to learn more Torah. If there wouldn't be any threats, we would be sleeping, right? Now there's threats, everybody's learning Torah, reading Tehillim. So because of Esau, we're increasing in Torah. If we are increasing in learning Torah, and we have the upper hand, then uleom yamatz, the one kingdom overpowers the other, so it flips. Then we lose our upper hand when we let go from the Torah. The one kingdom overpowers the other. Then the Bechorah switches again. Now we are serving Yaakov. It switches, depending on us. It's almost like with the war. With the war with Amalek, everybody went out to war. Moshe and Aaron and Elazar, they were sitting there. It says when Moshe would raise his hands, then the nation of Israel, the army of Yeshua, overpowered. He put their hands down, they lost. Same thing here. How is that applying to me, especially when it's talking about the end? The explanation right now is that right now there's a war between good and evil. Good is Kedusha, holiness, and evil is Tum'ah, the impurity, that of course is rooted by Esau. Okay, so Esau did Shuvah. It doesn't mean his kids did Shuvah. We know that Esau at the end did Shuvah. But his kids, look what came out from Esau. Besides, first of all, he had a lot of kids. But specifically from a kid called Elipaz, came out from that Amalek. All the Tum'ah and all the evil in the world are all coming from there. Okay, so we can argue and say, of course, a lot of evil is coming from Ishmael. But the main evil that right now runs the world are all descendants of Esau, and same thing also of Amalek. They're controlling right now the show, and there's a fight between good and evil. What can we do? You can't do nothing. Sit and learn Torah. That's all you can do. Doesn't matter who you're going to vote for. Doesn't matter how much weapons you're going to buy. It doesn't matter. You can't do anything. The only thing you can do is sit and learn Torah. Simple as that. Why? If we're letting go from the Torah, then the hand of Esau has control. But when we don't let go from the Torah, Hakol Kol Yaakov, when the sound of Yaakov is being heard, Yadei Esau, the hands of Esau, have zero power. That's our power. You want to change the outcome of what's going to happen now? It's only if we sit and learn Torah. And it's not just learning the Torah. We also have to apply the Torah, fulfilling the mitzvot. What the Torah teaches me to do, then you have to apply it. Each and every one of us has the obligation to do so. Other than that, we're going to see the control of Esau going out of control. And trust me, this is not going to be a nice sight. Don't think it's going to come in a way that is very obvious. People think, oh, if there should be a war at the end of days, okay, I'm expecting maybe bombs and missiles and destruction. Who says it's going to come like that? What was the speciality of Esau? He was a liar. He was a cheat, a con artist. Side bepiv. Side means a hunter, but with his mouth. He wasn't walking around with dirt and a spear. He had a suit. And he says, no, it's all humanitarian. It's for the greater good. And he was able to fool everybody, exactly like Nimrod. Why do you think he killed Nimrod? Nimrod was the first Freemason that came and turned the entire world against the master of the universe. And everybody believed him. Which is, maybe a year or two ago I would say, how did they all believe Nimrod? Now when I see 7 billion people believing the sheker, the lie, the deception that was going on now I understand how Nimrod was able to fool an entire generation, the same way that the entire generation now is being fooled. I mean, there's a fraction, maybe 1 or 2% that they see the truth and they can't fathom. How do you believe this? You really believe that? Shlomo Melech says, En chadash tachat hashemesh. Nothing is new under the sun. Ma shehaya hu sheyeh. What was is what's going to be the same. So don't think that Esau is coming with a chain of bullets here and a machine gun. Esau comes with a suit. He has a lot of degrees from university, very educated. And he lies with his mouth and he's able to fool everybody. That's why Esau took out Nimrod. Nimrod didn't work well with Esau. He didn't want that he's going to have the control. So Esau says, listen, I don't like you. And he took him out. So he can have the control. That he can be the next world leader and to control the nation through lies. No violence. We're not being violent here. So we have an Esau in our generation. Some people are seeing the truth and they're a little bit worried and scared. The majority are blind with their heads stuck in the ground, so they don't care. But the ones who are a little bit aware, they're saying, well, how are you going to fight this right now? How are you going to fight what's coming to us? Can you really fight that? Yeah. Sit down on your tuchis and start learning Torah all day long. Whatever you can, and then take the Torah that you learn and then apply that. If you don't apply what you learn, then you're missing the point. That's our power. That you take your Torah seriously. You learn Torah, whatever you can handle, then double that. When you pray, you put your mind to it. You apply what you learn. To learn Torah 4 or 5 hours a day and to pray 3 times a day and all this, and then you go and gossip and slander and lie. What did you do? So what if you show up 3 times a day to pray? Then you go and gossip and slander and destroy people's lives? Your Torah is worthless. Go home. Apply what you learn. Walk the walk. Don't talk the talk. If you're not going to move your lips to learn Torah, Esau is going to have the upper hand. And don't think he's going to come with violence. He's going to come with a nice smiling face. So we have a war to win, the war of evil. Don't think you can win it with violence. Don't even go into violence. Violence is not going to do anything. Riots, demonstrations, waste of time. Our power is only in our mouth, only in our mitzvot, only in our Torah. And that includes also the nations. A lot of non-Jews will say, but I'm not a Jew. So what? You still have to obey the 7 laws. Noach. You can still do mitzvot, commandments. You can still do acts of kindness and charity and help and whatever. What was one going to do without it? We have to unite right now. At the end of days, which is going to be the beginning of the good days, there's going to be one nation under God. So right now we all have to unite and we all have to do our part. But that's the only way to fight the evil regime. That's the only way to have a miracle coming into our direction. And the message is pretty clear. Hakol Kol Yaakov. It's all how much we're holding to the Torah. But there's going to have to be a fight. There's going to have to be a war between good and evil. And it all starts here. Now it's time for actions.